You can buy them on BEATPORT, TrackSource, and all other places that offer you full DJ versions of the songs. Hey guys, still having a slight cold, but you know what's nice? Even when you're sick and you got an amazing team, there's still work being done, even if you're not there or late. Working really hard?
Yeah, of course, always.
This smells like a lot of garlic.
Yes.
Okay guys, it's simple Q&A time. I just fired up the entire Den set and I discovered one thing where I don't get how I could have overlooked it. Always so much fun, but now let's actually get to the very first question of today's Q&A. The first one is already an interesting one, the best way to mix in key. So most players can show you the key of the song. You could also analyze it yourself and put it in the MP3 tags, which is a whole lot of work. There's also software taking care of that for you. I don't think it's really worth it, because whenever you DJ a club song, it has an intro and outro, so you should be fine not really mixing it in key. But then again, if you find a song in key or you want to do mashups, definitely mix in key. There's no other way around. If you have like chords in both songs, it needs to be in key. The best way to do it is basically searching for a key that fits to the key to the song that is already playing. With the Denon players and also with the Pioneer players, you can search for certain keys that match it will help you to detect it, and then just go. That's probably the easiest way to do it. What about a Sine podcast? Yeah, we're thinking about that already, but I don't have the time at the moment. I first want to finish a couple of productions and then we might do that on a weekly basis, like 1 or 2 hours radio podcast kind of show. It's just a little hard at the moment because YouTube, SoundCloud, all of them, they're blocking if you don't use songs that you own. So it might get a little hard. Denon versus Pioneer. That's really hard to answer at the moment. Yes, Pioneer is the club standard. And yes, Denon is a little cheaper and has way more functions and is the way more modern approach to DJing. That's also why I choose Denon. But I will do a full Denon versus Pioneer comparison once I got used to these. I want to learn DJing and I can neither go to a music school or can buy a controller. I know there's no solution, but any advice? Yes, there's a really simple solution to that. There's software out there, free software for your phone, for your iPad, for your Mac, for your Windows, where you can have simulated decks, beat match them and use a crossfader. It's a little annoying because you have to do it with your mouse, but the basic principle of DJing, you can learn that with these kind of tools. And then maybe once you get comfortable and you know how it's working, how to beat match, how to sync, how to crossfade, how to use the effects, maybe ask a friend that has a setup and just go there for a day. That shouldn't be a problem. What's the best DJ controller for DJs that are starting out? I'd say go for the cheapest one you can get. They all got the basic functions that don't really differ from the big ones. They got the cue, the play, the looping, the adjusting to beat match, selecting your songs. Usually the ones without a display where you need a computer to connect to it and software are usually cheaper. I think you can get a controller for around 250. Just go with a brand that you like and better go for the cheapest one you can find than not having any setup. I think it's enough to learn the basic principles and they're close enough to the big ones that whenever you get a gig, you won't be too lost playing with the huge ones. The next one's a funny one. Keeping it up on the subject of DJ fuck-ups, tell us your biggest fuck-up while playing. Like while playing, I mean, yes, sometimes you hit instead of the cue on the song that isn't playing the cue button on the song that is actually playing. That, by the way, also happened yesterday to Tiesto. He just pushed the wrong button, immediately corrected it. I mean, that's where you can see how professional it is. He reacted extremely fast, but you could see that he was annoyed about him making that mistake. So I'd say that's like the most common mistake that happens everyone every couple of gigs. Like a big mistake where the music cut out for several minutes. No, not really, because usually when the music cuts out for a certain amount of time, it's usually a loss of power for the CDJs. Someone plugging your USB stick, all of that happened to me. Also back DJing with vinyl, someone spilled his entire beer into the pitch fader. It worked for 2 more songs and then not, and without the pitch fader, no beat matching. So all I could do was like easy crossfader transitions, or just hitting start, stop, and queuing in the next song. Was really annoying, also really expensive to fix that. But my biggest DJing embarrassing moment, I actually made an entire video about it, we'll link it up there, was at the DJ contest. Yeah, not the best experience ever. The best cheap vinyl turntable for beginners, usually I would say go with what you can afford. But with turntables, if you want to use them for DJing, for scratching, you have to buy the expensive ones. You need the ones that have a direct torque with like magnets, that isn't with a belt, so it's actually accurate and it doesn't get worse over time. So I think you will have to spend at least like 300-400 euros to get something good that you can actually work with. Preparing your DJ sets for Denons and Pioneer CDJs, you need 2 different softwares. Being the time efficient you are, yes, I'm really time efficient, don't you think the Denons were a bad idea due to that? Not really, because at the moment I just plug in my USB and it analyzes the song on the fly within 2 or 3 seconds. That's the huge advantage. You don't have to do it in software for the Denon Prime setup. You just plug and play, and that's what I've been doing so far. I actually still need to test out the software, but I think the stuff that you did with the Pioneer software, it can read that and use it and use your cue points, so shouldn't be that hard to switch. The last question for today, where actually to get your music for DJing? A lot of people always ask me that. I mean, of course, there are a couple of sources. Your DJ producer friends, you can share music with them. That's usually the best way to get really good songs. You can buy them on BEATPORT, TrackSource, and all other places that offer you full DJ versions of the songs. Then also, once you get more known, people will send you demos and promos to play out in a club. But I think if you're like a beginner, there's a really good solution. There's like a digital DJ promo tool. It's a website called Digital Music Pool. I will link it down below. It's basically helping you as a DJ to find the right music, but also make sure that your music gets to the right labels. It's connecting DJs, labels, people in the industry, and I think it's like a really great place. One of my guys in the office has tested it out extensively. I've used it a little bit. It is really like the best way to link between you and the labels, between you and other DJs, and just kind of make sure you get songs that aren't out yet, and also make sure that other DJs get your songs. So if you're a producer or a DJ, this might be interesting for you. Just maybe go check it out. I think you have to pay, but it's really just €1, I think, at the moment. So definitely cheaper than just buying one song on BEATPORT. And you get access to stuff that other people don't have access to yet, so you can be faster discovering the new trends and these kind of things. The last question for today, when you play at some party, did you play your own style of tracks or some top BEATPORT songs that the crowd can know? This really depends. I know some DJs that never play the popular stuff, that just want to show the people and showcase to them new songs that they don't know, especially underground DJs do that. For example, yesterday at the club where Tiesto was playing, he was playing a quite commercial set. And I think that's what the crowd also expected. So when you're a small DJ, you play mostly for the crowd. Once you get bigger, people expect something for you, and then you play what they expect to a certain degree. I personally play what I like and what fits to the vibe of the club or the venue where I'm playing. So if I play a festival, I definitely play different music than 6 in the morning in a club in Berlin. You really have to adapt, especially when you're smaller as an artist. People book you to play nice music and not just do your program no matter what and just leave an empty dance floor. That's really not your job. If you're as big as Tiesto and you make sure that the dance floor is full just because your name is on the flyer, then you're basically free to do whatever you want. People will just love it because you're Tiesto. But there's just one Tiesto, so that way might not really be an option for you. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll do another Q&A probably in a week. Tomorrow, just back here in the studio, making music, a little DJing, the usual stuff.